A very good morning to everybody, and welcome to another TIP TV CEO interview. This morning it gives me extreme pleasure, as it always does, to welcome my victim, but more importantly today to meet James Parsons again, CEO of Sound Energy. It's a great pleasure to have you back again, James, and thank you for coming in. Let's start as I usually do, although you know, because you've been here once or twice before and the market knows a lot about sound, but it'd be a good idea to give us a quick overview of what's been going on. The business has been extremely busy in the last few months. Why don't you give us a rundown of what's been going on?
Yeah, thanks, Malky. I mean, many of your viewers will know already, we're a Mediterranean onshore gas story, Italy and Morocco. And we've lined this business up. We've been building it for sort of 5-6 years now, and we've lined it up with 3 strategic plays, all of which are currently in the game. I mean, it's all playing out live as we speak. And the first of those, Eastern Morocco, by far the largest and the more mature. So we've done 3 wells now. The first 2 are huge success, great rates, fantastic access to that taggy, the upper sort of horizon. The third well there, great result in terms of the Paleozoic. A little residual uncertainty left on the taggy, which we'll address in the coming weeks, but nothing to worry about in terms of the end game for this business. We're looking there at a potential of up to 31 TCF, so a huge play if we get it right. We have every intention of doing that, and Schlumberger's announcement this morning has come in, taking a further investment and really sort of upping the ante further and funding our business, which is great for us. So that's the first strategic play. The second is Badile, which we are now 40 days away from the reservoir. So, you know, TikTok, really exciting times for us. This is the asset that I joined the company to be a part of. That's our second strategic play. And our third, Sidi Moktar, we're just mobilising the rig right now, actually, across Morocco to address that. So 3 plays, all in the game as we speak. Very exciting times.
Excellent. Okay, we're going to obviously address all those individually as we go through. Probably the best thing to do and the most prescient is today's announcement that you've made about Schlumberger and another deal with them, who appear to do, you know, and want to do sort of fantastic deals with you, which benefits them because they get an access and a key access to part of the areas you're in, and they fund it by helping you your funding as well. So tell us about today's deal and what it means for you.
Yeah, I mean, what we've done here with this business is set it up with the right partnerships at the register, cornerstone investors, and also at the asset level. And Schlumberger are really our preeminent strategic partner here. So they're with us in Eastern Morocco, they're with us in Badile. And this Eastern Morocco piece has been very focused so far on Tendrara. Yep. That's where the value is today, that's where the drilling's been, that's where the volumes are proved up. Meridja, which is the adjacent block, there just hasn't been very much action. It's much earlier stage. And what we've done today with Schlumberger is actually farm them in, essentially, you know, get them to invest in 27.5% of that acreage. And they've done that in exchange for 27.5, rough numbers, $1 million worth of carry on this seismic program. So, you know, for us, our end game to demonstrate line of sight on this 31 TCF potential, the seismic is the big piece. So 2,600 square kilometers of 2D new fresh seismic, latest technology. They're funding that. So actually we're getting a sort of free option to get all that seismic done within about a year. And that is what's going to determine our end game, because we need to demonstrate to prospective purchasers of this business that 31 TCF, you know, a sort of an inventory of prospects, which will, you know, show how you build up that story. We're pretty clear. We've got that line of sight internally. What we need to do is to be able to make that more visible externally. That's what this seismic will do. Now, if you think about the read-across valuation of Schlumberger on this one asset, you're kind of saying Meridja standalone now, pre-seismic, is worth, you know, just shy of $100 million.
Yeah.
That's a huge amount of money. Post-seismic, many multiples, and you're already validating our market cap. So, you know, without even thinking about Tendrara, Badile, Sidi Moktar, the read across here is very exciting. Not least to add that, you know, we've got $60 million cash in the bank. This adds another 30, basically. We don't have to spend half our cash on the seismic. We can use it for other things, including accelerating the very exploration that we also believe in on Eastern Morocco. So it's a great deal. It aligns the partnership. It keeps us funded for the near term, and it's just great at every level. The read across speaks for itself, really.
Another innovative deal from Sound on that. And does that mean that from here you've got a year of doing the geophysical work and the seismic and so on, so that will take us through to midnight 2018. Yep. Does that mean that the plans to drill on that, and presumably it's looking at the Paleozoic and the Taggi reservoir, yep, that means that we'll have another go at both those important reservoirs second half of 18?
I don't think it'll take that long. I mean, our plan is very much finish Badile. That will happen now. It's near-term action. By the summer, that'll be complete. In the meantime, we're doing Sidi Moktar, which gives us a chance to actually complete the work post-TE8, our third well, get the learnings in. The seismic's kicked off already. The rig should be available again back in eastern Morocco, sort of August time.
Yeah.
And, you know, depending on the final sort of analysis in terms of what we learn from TE8, you know, that residual uncertainty in the TAGI, which is fine, is normal for a reservoir of this scale to have those sort of uncertainties out there. We will then look at either re-entry into 1, 2 or 4, there's lots of options there, or perhaps even a fresh well that sort of opens up the play yet again. So, you know, there'll be further action, I believe, later this year, but right now we're pretty busy, as you might expect, with Badile and Sidi Moktar.
And I was just thinking, because it's a year's worth of, actually, once you started the first 2 or 3 months, you'll have something and see that you'll keep the kettle boiling.
Well, that's right. So what we're not doing on this seismic is going away, shooting it, processing it, and coming back and telling the market. What we are doing is piecemealing it into specific sort of chunks, if you like, and having a sort of cycle where we shoot the seismic, we analyse the seismic, we get a CPR done, we publish it, and then go again and build up the regional jigsaw. So you'll see our reserve base increasing as that seismic is shot over the course of that year.
Still firing all the bullets from the gun all the time, and it's still doing well.
It's a very exciting time.
Good stuff. Okay, the second one, I'll stay in Morocco just to finish off on Sidi Moktar.
Yeah.
Those of us who are old enough remember Sidi Moktar from before, and the opportunity it had to provide for before until it all went horribly wrong. You mentioned just now, and you've announced a few days ago that the rig is on its way. What's the timing on all that? What's the plans? What do you think? What's your target?
A lot of history in Sidi Moktar, a lot of previous operators, 2 wells on an existing structure called Catula. Now, this is just above the salt, okay, and that's an important sort of, you've seen the pictures. Those 2 wells, what we're doing right now, mobilising the rig, working them over, possible sidetrack, and you know, this is near-term cash flow if it works, which we expect it to. So, you know, we're near demand, we've got those strong Moroccan gas prices underpinning the asset, and it's relatively plug and play. And it's great, you know, we've been so busy with Eastern Morocco, we've only just now had time to do it, but it's the right time to do it. What really interests us, though, on Sidi Moktar is the deeper play. Yeah. So pre-salt, beneath the salt. And there we see, and other operators have seen, something like up to 9 TCF. And that's one of the reasons why, you know, we have said no, ultimately, to this farm-out potential we had on the table for Sidi Moktar. We don't need it with the Schlumberger deal. The cash isn't an issue anymore. And actually, we want to keep a big chunk of that deeper multi-TCF play. And that's hugely exciting us, and particularly the team here, which is, you know, the exploration team, largely new in our company. We had a chance to look at that in more detail. We're just falling in love with the deeper play. So we'll be moving on to that. It'll need a bit more seismic. We'll be moving on to that after we've done those workovers.
Yeah. Well, you mentioned people new on the team. This team has grown. I mean, yeah, you and I have been involved in this for, 3 years or whatever it is, and when there was a handful of people, you could get them in this room. Now I hear that you have 60 people, and the offices are doubled or tripled in size.
It's been a great journey, and we've got some big name signings here. The like of Brian Mitchinger coming in as the number 2 explorer in BG, etc. You know the story, Malky. I mean, you know, this is what you need for the sort of capability match with the skills and the you know, these assets are not simple assets. They're huge world scale assets, and if we get them right, the prize is really there for us all. So we've invested in our people. We've got a leadership group which we had before pre-Morocco already. Super, but adding to that and broadening that out. So the people piece is an important part of the
What a star that boy Mitchin has turned out to be.
Exactly right.
Right, we've done Morocco, and I'd like to turn to Badile, and I'd like to turn to it for a couple of reasons. First of all, we were down there in Milan in the beginning of March. We saw the spud of the well, and I have to say that I've said it once or twice in print that you know, in 38 years of seeing onshore drilling setups, I've never seen a setup so efficient, so environmentally positive. I know that you wouldn't have been able to get away with anything other, but a pretty much silent rig because of its electric motors and so on, and it's even got camouflage blanket. Only the Italians could have a camouflage blanket in front of a well in Milan, so rig in Milan. So joking apart, I mean, you know, when you and I started, we talked about 3 or 4 years ago, we talked about the fact that I remember having 50p a share in the Valley when the shares were only 5p. So it was a huge thing. Things got a little quiet on Badile in a funny sort of way. And I know you've revved it up a bit by taking investors down to see it. But you mentioned only a few minutes ago that we're only 50 days or something away from TD. Let's have a bit of an overview from you. You know, it's nice to be back in Milan, and it's nice. Tell us all about Badile, what your thoughts are.
So, I mean, our whole portfolio is constructed around strong European gas fundamentals. Italian gas prices are one of, the world's highest, and that's what we've arbitraged off. That's what our business is structured to do. Milan is obviously a huge demand centre. We're just a few clicks away from the high pressure and the low pressure gas lines, so very easy to monetize as and when and if we discover hydrocarbons. And this is the one remaining exploration prospect in the Po Valley, which is a hugely tried and tested fairway of quality. Probably one of the best exploration prospects in Europe at the moment. And we're drilling it. And we are now down in depth, just beyond 3,000 meters. So, we are at sort of the depth that those taggy wells in Morocco were stopping at, but we need to keep going down to 4,600 meters. So that's another 40 days or so if you include casing. And then we're going to know, and it's a big binary outcome, and that's our business. We're not afraid of that risk. We're structured to take that risk. Schlumberger have come in, have essentially farmed into that asset alongside us, as they had in Morocco, which I think helps investors understand and validates the sort of technicals. So we're very excited, and the share price impact will be very interesting. I'm a believer, as is I believe most of the analysts that follow us, that there isn't a lot of credit in our share price for Badile. So if it comes in, I think a lot of that's upside, and the numbers are huge. It's sort of $500 million mid case and 2 billion upside case in terms of euros. So, if it works, it's huge. And that's what we want, is multiple exposures to that kind of risk reward. 40 days, tick-tock.
And if it comes in, there's a sort of mirror image field nearby, isn't there?
That's right, you've got Zibido. So, I mean, first thing is you can just run, if you want, that one well as a producer. I mean, so it can be relatively quick. You still have to navigate the Italian permitting, of course, but that's not too bad for the concession award. So it could just be one well producer. Probably it's got a scale that needs 3, maybe 4 wells, which is fine. And actually Zibido, which is nearby, is then unlocked. So we then have a go at that as a second huge discovery, potentially.
And the rest of the Italian portfolio, I've sort of got in my idea that you've still got quite a number of interesting things to do, but you just have to run it along the lines of, we'll develop them when we can. We've still got a team working on to try and get environmental permissions, which in Italy take 3 years and in Morocco take 3 months.
No, exactly.
Presumably plodding along, and actually if they were to come in, one or two of the things that we got excited about 3 years ago are still in the portfolio. And
we've got our small production still. I mean, that's cost covering, that's helpful. We've got Laura, which is a huge existing discovery, which we never gave up on. There's plenty of work going on behind the scenes there. So as and when we get over Badile, which is inevitably the largest asset, big binary outcomes, then we'll re-energize the rest of that portfolio. Absolutely.
Yeah. One of the things I wanted to move on to, which I know a lot of other companies in the sector are a bit jealous of, is that you've got a fantastic relationship with your retail or private investor group. What's your perspective on this? I mean, it is very, very central to the way that Sound Energy works, and I'd love to know what you think how this differentiates you from pretty much anyone else in the sector.
Yeah, we see this as a core part of our DNA. There's no excusing it. We welcome openly and intend to be sort of welcoming for private investors. So the analogy here is we offer them the first class experience, the comfy seats, a glass of champagne, a chat with the captain, direct access to management. We're doing a Marrakesh trip shortly to go and see Sidi Moktar. That'll be early June. We want people who invest in this stock to understand it, to see the asset if they have appetite to do so. Not all of them do, but some enjoy that. So we're really trying to portray the business fairly, warts and all, give people access, and that's our DNA, and we really welcome that. That first class experience is at the core of what we are.
I love that. I don't know whether it's an aeroplane or it's a ship, but it's like, imagine the cap going on and it's the captain speaking. There will be times when things don't go according to plan, share price runs out of steam perhaps or comes down a bit, and you had that sort of experience in the last few weeks because the run up was all the way to £1 and it's come back a bit. How do you take the pressure? And you presumably still get the emails coming in and the calls. How do you cope with it when the worst? Well, then sort of.
I think the way to think about this, let's keep going with that first class experience, is a bit like Turbulence. It's an innate part of the flight. There's nothing to be afraid of. It's okay for the captain to get out of his cockpit and go and have a chat to the passengers to say, look, it's turbulence, it happens. And to be honest, I do so with a glint in my eye. A glint in my eye because I know the turbulence passes quickly, and I also have a sense that we're ahead of schedule in terms of the arrival time. So, we don't need to worry too much. Share prices bounce around. There's a natural ebb and flow, and it's true that we've had a weaker last sort of month or so, but that's fine. Turbulence comes to an end.
I think one of the interesting things about this, in the answer to this question, the one before, and all about your portfolio, is all about risk, and the way that some people in the industry compare it. I mean, most people try and say, we would hedge things if we found something, or we've got some production in order to. You've always made a really important point, that the fact that that the people who invest in this company actually want you to have big success, and that to be able to flow through.
Yep.
Is your attitude to risk one which you think is, this is unusual because this is what the shareholders want?
Yeah, I think if you look at most of the sector right now, most of them are heading towards production. So it's relatively low risk. You have a lot of downside risk. You've got all of the, if it goes well, you're looking at 20, 30% returns. We don't want to be that stock. We want to be the stock with 5 to 10 bagger potential. And to do that, you have to get back to the core essence of what upstream is, which is drilling holes in the ground to find hydrocarbons. And we do so with partners, which de-risks it in part, and with the right technical expertise and with the right funding structures, but we take that risk. And I think over time, we've shown that we can see, and give access to our shareholders to huge returns when it goes well. And that's what we're going to do again. We're going to do it in Eastern Morocco. We're going to do it in Badile, and now we're turning our heads to Sidi Moktar.
Great stuff. We're nearly running out of time. The investors would kill me if I didn't ask you the obvious question about Echo. Echo Energy launched last week, and you're the chairman there, albeit part-time. Can you give us a little snippet on Echo? Look,
I'm the chief exec of Sound Energy. That's my day job. That's who I am. Like Brighton Rock, if you cut me open, you'll see Sound Energy through me. That's my focus. I'm a man with a mission here. We've got to finish the job we started, and it isn't just a job for me. This is personal. I'm committed to what we're doing here. So I don't excuse being 2 steps ahead with Echo. That's okay, but that's for later. I'm non-executive there. It's not part of the Sound story. Sound is my focus. So we're here to deliver.
Sounds good to me. Now, time is almost up. As ever, it's flown by. But the one thing I always do, I know that you've mentioned things, vision and where you're going to go and everything else. But as usual, what I'd like you to do for the last question is to tell me, overall the vision, the countries that you're in, the risk we've already talked about. But just give us an idea of what your shareholders might expect.
Well, look, we're seeing through the plan here. The plan was 3 strategic plays. They're all in the game as we speak. Eastern Morocco. We're putting the rig over to Sidi Moktar. We're going to execute the Sidi Moktar workovers. We're going to bring the rig back and look again at Eastern Morocco in terms of the next step there, perhaps a re-entry in 1 or 2, TE1 or 2, the old wells, and perhaps a fresh well, perhaps both. Let's see. Meanwhile, we're going to play Badile out. We all want to know the answer to that question. 40 days, tick-tock, not long now. And, that's going to position us by the end of this year with the seismic maybe 50, 60% complete. Some big answers to questions on some big assets already known, and then we'll be in drilling further in Eastern Morocco and positioning ourselves for this end game. We've been quite explicit on our strategy here. There is no change. There will be no change. That's what I'm going to deliver.
Excellent news. It's been a great pleasure again to meet with James and to talk through the story at Sound Energy. James, thank you very much for coming in, being another victim on
Thanks,
TV.
Always a pleasure.
CEO Energies. Thank you very much for coming in. Thank you very much indeed for watching, and catch you next time. Bye now.